Okay.
Okay. All right, Cindy, hi. From everyone in English, we miss you. We'll be glad when you're well and back.
Yeah.
Okay. Today, we are going to... I don't know if she's watching it right now.
Note-taking.
Okay, today we're going to learn how to take notes on our note cards. So if you will please take out... Is it working?
Hi, Sydney. It's our
Wait, the color ones and the white
Whether
ones.
you're watching.
You said color
Hello.
Hello.
It's me.
I know you're not listening. Color.
Ooh, that's your child.
It seems solid. Is it solid?
Not at the very beginning. Okay, so take out your note cards. Do not shuffle them.
Wait, is it on again?
It's on. Take out your note cards. You will need the colored ones and the white ones.
I don't have
Undo them from the plastic.
I did.
And then take out your 5 sources and lay your sources on the desk.
My note cards are broken.
And
Perfect.
Open this.
Okay.
I didn't know you don't follow. Scissors.
How many do you need to go and get your note cards?
Because I looked on the supplies and it just says research.
And it says note cards. Oh, it does. Okay, go get them. Go get them.
I can get my notes. You found it. I can go get my notes.
You can match that.
Can we take them out? Why did I get told? Why did I get so many lies?
Why am I listening to this conversation? Because I can just hang it.
Okay, also take out your 5 sources and lay them across to your desk in this order.
Wait, and what?
You need 1 book.
Alright.
Your encyclopedia article.
I can't open this. Do we need the citations for all of these?
Mac and cheese is nice.
You do not need the citations right now. Your website. Your NPS.gov website.
Governor. So it's not going this order.
And your second book.
I can't fit all of this.
Those should be, if they won't go all the way across, then put them down below.
Is Sydney with us now?
Sydney's with us.
Sydney will
I
always
don't
be
know that she's watching it right now, but when she watches it, she'll be with us.
You better be watching this right.
Wait, they recorded this?
She's in a better place now. Home.
Okay, next. You should have your sources separated on your desk. I see Abigail's ready. I see Celine's ready.
Wait, you have to write down before.
If these are printed out, go ahead and label them.
Warning.
It will help you to keep them straight because they all kind of look alike. Go ahead and label them.
Book. You know.
You want everything open?
Hey.
You don't have to open them.
Look at how much this is.
Okay, next. Step 2. I want you to take out your note cards. And your green note cards go here.
On book 1.
For book 1. Your yellow ones go here for your encyclopedia. The pink ones are here for the website. The white ones, because you have the most note cards, they go with the NPS.gov. And the blue ones go with book 2.
You want us to do just one or like the whole stack? But like per color?
The whole stack.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Purple's so pretty.
So you may, you will have an extra color left over. Just leave it in your baggie.
Yellow. I don't have green is my
If you don't have blue, choose one of your other colors.
Okay. I love green. Yours are like neon.
I don't think
No, I want to use
Hunter.
What if you're not gonna be able to fill
Should
out
we use purple
all
instead of
your
pink?
yellow
You
cards?
won't. Everybody won't use all their
Yeah,
cards.
pink looks like a throw up
Can we
color.
use purple instead of pink?
What are you
If you
doing?
want to.
What?
Yay.
You don't have blue.
Okay, I'm going to give you a packet labeled, it's titled Taking Notes, and we're going to read through it and see how we're going to take notes now that we've got our cards and our sources set up.
Yeah.
Wait, do we have to use all of these?
No. All you need is 50 of them and there's
Really? Oh, you should.
I mean, I think I remember.
What do you want for
Use a different color.
Well, need an orange. With orange
No cards?
right on.
Yeah.
I have 19 because I used one of these on
Minimum 50 notes.
Oh, that cash.
That was loud. I said it. Guys, now she always.
You know, imagine if your screen just cut out right as soon as you did this. The screen just cuts out. Like, what happened?
Okay, it's time to be quiet, and let's look at this worksheet, or this handout, taking notes. Jad, if you'll read number 1 for us. Let's talk about how we're going to take notes from all of our many sources. We'll be doing that on note cards. So Jad, read to us number 1. What does it say?
Write in the top left-hand corner of the card a word or phrase that summarizes the information on the note card. Write only on the front side of the note card.
Okay, so we're only going to write on the front side of the note card.
We don't use one side is
Brady, y'all are behind. It's not up with us. Okay, so you're only going to write on one side of the note card, and you will bullet point.
Lafreniere,
Yes, ma'am.
please send Drew to check out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take it with you.
Drew, you will need to Drew, you will need to read through this, and I think you'll understand what to do, and then start writing your encyclopedia note cards.
Do we finish
Okay.
them?
Just the encyclopedia?
What thing?
On our encyclopedia, will we be done with
We
them
will
too?
finish the encyclopedia 1 in class today, and we'll get started on a second source.
Miss Lafayette,
Yes.
what if you just write like 2 cards on the inside?
No, it's not.
Okay, that's a good question, Hunter. Hunter wants to know, what if we just write 2 on the encyclopedia? Then that's all that you'll write on the encyclopedia. Okay? You will not, more than likely, you will not use all of these note cards.
Oh, so it's 50 together, not
50, yeah, you're gonna end up having 50 or more note cards.
No, what do we
You're good. Okay, number 2. Ethan, y'all are jumping ahead. Ethan, read for us. Next. Number 2.
Write the information on the note card in your own words. Write only one idea per note card. Do not write notes from 2 sources on the same card. 1 fact per note card.
Okay, so you're going to write in your own words. You're going to bullet point the fact, the information from the fact that you found about your part, and you'll write it on that note card.
Hey, Drew.
You good?
Judd. Number 3, Julie.
If you must use quoted material, write the material in quotes and quotation marks. Limit your use of direct quotes when taking notes. You want to demonstrate that you are capable of expressing ideas in your own words.
Okay, so in your paper, you will have 2 direct quotes plus your attention grabber. So when you're reading through your sources, if you find a sentence or a phrase or a couple of sentences that you want to use exactly in your paper, then what's the correct way to put that information on the note card? Same. Yes. Can everybody do that? Okay? Quotation marks. And then when you actually fit it into your paper, I will tell you what else to add to that. And then we'll work on a works cited page where you'll put the source name and all the information from the citation on it. So that way you don't, what?
Okay, plagiarize.
Plagiarize. That way you won't plagiarize.
Sorry.
Question, Hunter?
What did you do? What were you saying? Not plagiarize?
So to not plagiarize, you will put that quote in quotation marks, and you will make a works cited page that goes at the end of your paper, and I'll teach you how to do that here in a few weeks. And that way you will not plagiarize.
Okay.
Okay?
I have the plagiarism homework
Okay.
from when I.
You'll need to put it in your
I
paper.
have the plagiarized
Okay.
homework.
Yeah, Hunter, she gave it to us on Monday.
Is that
Hunter
homework
has it.
to do with it?
There were some questions to answer on it.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, so that's what you do if you've got a direct quote. Now you're only going to have 2 of those in your paper. The rest of your note cards should be bullet pointed and written in your own words. Okay, does everyone understand the difference? Okay, number 4, Celine, read it for us.
Write a minimum of 50 notes.
Okay, total, when you put all these note cards together, all these different colored note cards, you're going to have a minimum of 50. That means you have to have at least 50. Brady.
So for the quotation thing, it has to be like, in order to put quotations on the note card, it has to be like said, like quotation.
There doesn't have to be a set. It is not what someone is saying. It's taking 1 or 2 sentences directly from a paper. Any 2 sentences. It doesn't have to be where someone says it.
Every time that we write a note card that's from this, and we write it exactly like that.
Yes, but how many times can you do that? Twice.
Like,
Wait, so
all
otherwise we
these?
just take the information and change it.
Otherwise, you take the information, and we'll have an example here in a minute. You take the information, read it, and then you're just going to bullet point the fact. We'll go to an example here in just a minute, you'll see, okay? Okay, let's look at that note card that's at the bottom of the handout.
Whoa.
Okay? They titled it, and then they put a couple of bullet points on there. We're just going to probably put 1 bullet point per card.
On you have fun.
Okay? Turn the page of your handout.
Ooh, ooh.
Okay, at the top, the first example is a quotation. Brady, that's where you're writing it word for word. You're putting it in quotation marks and telling, if you have a page number, what page you got it from in your source.
And then the UN work is
The what?
U.N.work is this.
No, UN work is just what their card is about.
Wait, so what are you doing?
They're not writing a paper on UPS.com. Okay, or they're not writing a paper about a national park. Okay, but they've got it in quotation marks,
And they say,
and they say page 126, and it's on the color of note card of the source they were reading. Then you've got it on the right color note card, so when you get finished writing your paper, you're going to make one of these, Brady. A works cited page, and you're going to put the citation for that quote where you got it. Okay? Preston, thanks for waiting.
I have on this on the NPS.gov or whatever. I have a lot of it. Do I put it with this, or do I just take one of them?
You have a lot of what?
I mean, like on there was like different types of like what there's like, if there's nature on there.
Right, and so they're all going to go. All your notes will go on white note cards for NPS.
So do I want me to staple all of them together?
You can in a little bit. Okay. All right. Okay, let's look at the bottom half of this page. Here's the example of how you write just a regular note card. So, Curtis, read that for us.
Here's how it works again.
Here's how it works.
Imagine that you are writing a research paper on dinosaurs. Your main idea is that dinosaurs resembled present-day birds more than present-day reptiles. Read the excerpt below and think about what information is important to your topic. To take notes, copy keywords or phrases onto a note card and see the sample below.
Okay, so their example, I've labeled them. One of them is the source. That's like your book or your website. So that's their source. And then the one on the left is their note card that they wrote from that source. Okay, so let's read the source. What does it say? Zach?
For many years, people thought that dinosaurs were clumsy, slow-moving creatures that lived much like modern reptiles. However, fossil evidence shows that some kinds of dinosaurs, especially small theropods, probably were much more active than most present-day reptiles. In addition, most dinosaurs resembled birds rather than modern reptiles in their leg and foot structures and upright posture. Scientists generally agree that dinosaurs are closer ancestors of birds than to present-day reptiles. They believe that the study of birds can help us learn about the life of dinosaurs.
Okay, so that's their source. That's their book. They got that information from. Now they're going to write a note card. Okay, so their note card is next to it. And their note card, first of all, it has a little title, The Appearance of Dinosaurs. And then it's got a couple of bullet points. Jason, what are those bullet points?
Legs and foot structure.
Okay.
And upright posture.
Okay. The way that they're like birds are with their leg and foot structure and their upright posture. So that's all the notes, all the bullet points that they took from their source. It had to do with their paper. You see how short it is. Later on, when they add this to their paper, they'll write their own sentence using that information. Okay, turn to the handout. Brady.
So, oh, never mind. We don't know that.
Okay. Okay, so just to summarize, number 1 says, Abigail, read it to us.
Start with a fresh pack of research note cards. Large line cards are probably best, especially if you want to make your own detailed personal notes.
And that's highlighted. Can you read the highlighted part?
Yes. Also consider coding your cards by source.
Okay, so we have color-coded our sources. Each source has a color of note card assigned to it. So when you read a source, like we're going to start with the encyclopedia. When you read your encyclopedia and you write note cards, what color note card are you going to write on?
Yellow.
Yellow. Okay, so they're color-coded. Number 2, keep reading, Abigail.
Devote an entire note card to each idea in them. Don't try to fit 2 sources, quotes, and notes on one card. No sharing space.
Okay, so 1 bullet point, 1 fact per card. And number 3, Judd.
Gather more than you need. Use the library and the internet to find potential sources for your research paper. You should continue to research until you have quite a few potential sources.
Okay, you have plenty of sources. You have 5. You may find that some of them are repetitive. You may find that one of them is not as good as the other ones. When you get into high school, your teacher may require you to have about 10 sources, and you will find that some of them may not be as good as other ones, and you might not use them very much. But we've got 5, and I think they're probably pretty good. Okay, number 4 talks about how to narrow down those sources. I don't think we'll be doing too much narrowing down. I think we'll use all of our sources. Number 6, be exact. This talks about when you write a quote, just like we did with our attention grabber. Remember when we copied it down onto a note card?
You skipped number 5.
We were exact. Okay, we'll go back to that one. So when you copy a quote down, which you're gonna have 2, you have to copy it with all the capital letters, the spelling just the way it is, and the punctuation just the way it is. And yes, I skipped number 5. Record as you go. Zane, read it, number 5 for us.
Record as you go. From each source, write down any notes that could be useful in your paper. Use your own words. This reduces the chances of committing accidental plagiarism.
Okay? Record as you go. So if you think you found a fact that you might want to include in your paper, then write it down. But use your own words so that you don't plagiarize. And that's why I keep telling you to bullet point. Because if you bullet point, you're not going to plagiarize. Also remember, most of the facts that we will find about our parks are called common knowledge. What did we find out about common knowledge? Think?
It's like stuff that most people already know.
Okay, it's stuff that most people already know, so you're free to use it in your paper. You're not plagiarizing by telling me how big the park is, or where it's located, or how old it is. Okay, those are common knowledge facts that you can use without plagiarizing.
But how is it commonly known if like?
Because it's in lots of sources that you read.
Okay.
Okay.
I was like, 'cause I don't know.
You don't know it, yeah. It's in lots of sources. Curtis.
If you were really unsure about it, how could you check about, like, if it was common knowledge?
Ask me.
Okay.
Okay, you can ask
But if
me.
it's like, it's kind of, wouldn't it be kind of obvious? Like, if it was like where the park is located?
Yeah, it's common knowledge.
That's common
No,
knowledge.
I was going off of what Curtis said.
Go ahead. What's your question?
That's okay. Or
Huh.
like how big the park was, because that'd be in a lot of sources.
That's in a lot of
So it'd be
sources.
kind of obvious. That's what.
Yeah. So most of the facts you're going to have about your park are common knowledge. Okay, we are on number 7. That's where if you think you might use it, go ahead and put it on a note card. When you write your paper, you will not use every single fact that you found. You'll use most of them, but not all of them. So you may have some extra note cards. And last but not least, don't use abbreviations on your note cards. More than likely, when you go back to read them, you will have forgotten what that abbreviation stood for. Say.
So one time, maybe like 4th or 5th grade, we were doing the book report, and the whole thing I decided to abbreviate every word. Like even 2 and stuff was abbreviated. 2.
You did not know what you'd written later, did you?
No.
No.
I still passed though.
You still passed. Okay.
Passes
All right,
with
and again, you must have at least 50 note cards. Which source do you think is going to have the most notes from it? The
Mine's
NPS.
the
It's the biggest. Okay, how do you know what kind of information to include in your paper?
common.
Curtis.
Keywords like the name of your park.
Okay. Judd?
Important things.
How do you know what's important? How do you know what I want in your paper?
If it sounds cool.
If it sounds cool, okay? Same?
You guess.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Didn't I give you a sheet
No.
that says
Oh, yeah.
information to include in your paper?
There's a lot of stuff
Yes.
on it.
So open it. It's in your research folder. Have it open. Have it open. Information to include in your research paper.
Man, that's a lot of information.
Would this be like all we did, or
Okay, that's a really good list of facts to include in your paper. Remember, this is a factual paper. It is. So that's information to include. So you're going to be looking for that kind of information as you read your sources and write your note cards.
What if there isn't everything in it?
You may not have everything, okay? But you will have most of it. And you may find something else that you want to include that's not on that list. But I think that's a pretty good list from the last 12 years of writing research papers with kids.
Where's the
Okay,
prime thing?
Preston.
It says like first American Indian settlement park. Would that be commonly known?
That name would.
Ms. Lafreniere.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Marcus's mom is here.
Oh, I have class until 3:40.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I'll tell him to wait.
Yeah, I have a meeting to meet with her at 3:40.
At 3:40?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay,
He's not even in here.
so we are going to start with our encyclopedia. You need to have a highlighter. I've got highlighters up here. We'll pass them around. You can take one. Okay? Or you can use your own.
What are you highlighting?
Sounds like a
Okay? We're going to start with our encyclopedia article. So have it in front of you.
Why do you?
We're just highlighting the word five.
Why do you highlight?
Oh, then you're gonna put it on the
John, you're taking too long.
It's like, I don't have that much choice.
I wrote like this one here. Alright.
Ooh.
Okay, raise your hand if you need a highlighter. See one?
Oh, me.
You silly.
Because you that's big.
Okay.
It's got a smear guard.
I'm not good.
Wow. Okay, everyone ready? You should have your encyclopedia article out.
I accidentally put the pages on wrong.
You should have your list of what to include in the research paper. Have that open in your folder. Just keep them for now. And what color note cards should you have? Yellow. Okay? So this is what you need to do. I want you to quietly read your encyclopedia article. I want you to highlight any important facts that you see there that you think need to be written on note cards.
Zion is a movement.
What?
It's a movement.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a
movement aimed
religion.
to establish a national Jewish state.
Zionist?
Yeah, Zionist. Okay, but read about Zion National Park.
What if a lot of this was just like
Okay.
Wait,
Yeah.
above it, it has like just Zion, and it has facts about that. Could I put
Zion National Park.
like what it means? No.
No.
What's a manatee?
It's
like
a
big old
There's
fat
a big
ball.
hill.
really large fish.
So,
Okay, I asked you to quietly read your encyclopedia article. Don't write any note cards yet. Jeff.
This isn't biblical.
What?
This isn't biblical.
Yeah, so in your national park information, you may find evolutionist viewpoint. Please do not include that in your paper.
Well, it says the tree, oh, so I don't include that?
don't say it out loud.
No, you can say it out loud, but let's don't include that in our paper.
People say
That time frame is not what
The
we
trees in
use.
the area grew about 150 million years ago.
Okay, great.
Well, it could be that old. I know.
The
trees in the area.
You can.
Did each one of my words.
That's not
You're at
evolution.
this part.
Okay, take a yellow note card.
That's not evolution.
Evolution. I know. Oh no, it's not evolution.
Take a yellow note card. And take your first fact that you found.
It's just not biblical.
How many of you found the size of your park?
Ooh,
Okay, you found the size of your park. So title one of your cards size,
60,000
and then write how big your park is.
Wait, so on the encyclopedia, will we have to say this is from the encyclopedia?
You don't have to say it's from the encyclopedia because you have color coded
1 million acres.
all
Holy
of
smoke.
your
This
note cards.
$1,533,000.
Brady, if it says a million thousand years, it's not biblical, and we're not going to use it. So just ignore it.
So you just have bullet points?
Huh?
It says, fragments of pottery in the forest show that small groups of Indians lived there as early as 8,500.
Yes, yes, that's fine. Okay, you are color coding, so all of your note cards from your encyclopedia are on yellow cards. So you don't need to write encyclopedia on there.
So I mean, like when we write our store or thing paper.
No, because not unless you have a direct quote from it.
When we make
Okay.
Basically,
Well, make another note card. Maybe you found the location.
Is there really parks that big?
I know where
Miss Locker, that's a pretty big park. Does that actually exist?
Some are that big.
Mine's bigger than that.
Dang. That's huge.
How
Yeah.
big is it?
Okay, make another
4,000.
note card. Bullet point it.
400,000.
Maybe you found the park establishment date.
Mine has two.
October 2nd.
Okay, make sure it's the park, that it's a national park and not a national monument, Celine.
I looked that date up, like the day that my park was established, and all that came up was like a shooting.
That's a ton of acres.
Okay, keep going. You're gonna keep going. You're gonna find facts. Use that information to know handout in your folder to help guide you to find the facts that you need. Write neatly so that you can read these note cards. Write neatly so you can read your note cards.
Is it supposed to highlight all the sources before we start writing?
You don't have to highlight all the sources, no. But I just wanted us to take baby steps through this one. Abigail.
For the establishment date online, it says was established in 1908.
Okay, so put the year. Later on in another source, you might find the date.
Okay.
Okay, because each one of them has a date and a year for when they were established as national parks.
There's 10,000
So what do we put on this as the subject if it said the area contains many fossils and mammals?
You might put history.
Hey,
Jilly.
I don't know if this goes with the location, but it said Halika Log became a separate part in 1960. It had been a part of Hawaii Volcano National Park since 1960.
That's part of your park history.
Oh, so I don't put it on location.
I'll put it park history.
What would, it covers 10,000 islands along the Gulf of Mexico.
Maybe the size of it. I wouldn't be terribly concerned about the title, but let's get the bullet points down. The title just can help you later to look through your cards quicker.
Ms. Faulkner, mine says that it was authorized as a national monument in 1929 and as a national park in 1970.
Which date do you want?
The 70.
National Park, right. Okay, Dylan, question? Okay.
Where would you put like the point below sea level?
Location.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, but then mine said
As you go through this, you're going to write, some of you will have 4 cards from this encyclopedia article. Some of you may have 10. Depends on how much information they give you. When you finish your encyclopedia article, you finish writing note cards from it, then you can go to your next one. And which one are you going to choose? One of your books? Okay? So
Should we
take the correct color of note card.
Can I do my other website?
Start reading your book or your website, whichever you choose. Make sure you have the right color of note cards.
Alright, so
And
now,
start writing note cards. You don't have to highlight, I mean, you can't highlight in the book if it's not
what do we
yours.
do?
What color is website again?
Put it aside.
The software.
When you get finished writing note cards, you can put those note cards back in your baggie. Keep them together in your baggie. You know what source they came from because of what color they are. So you're not going to get them mixed up.
Can I get do you have another Ziploc bag?
I will look in just a
Do you have
minute.
a few rubber bands?
And I've got rubber bands, but we will not pop the rubber bands or pop other people.
Can we
Okay.
pop like
Hunter.
May I use that for-
Yeah, I have
Hey.
one for popping myself. That's like the sole purpose.
What do we do with the extra?
Okay, these extra note cards, again, you will just store them in your baggie. Keep all your note cards in your baggie,
Even the ones we don't.
even the ones you don't use. Who needs rubber bands?
Wait, how
Okay,
many
Zach, come up here and get
yellow
them.
do you need?
What?
How many yellow do you need? Just
I'll take a rubber band.
I'm not telling you a number per source. I'm telling you at least 50
I
total.
need 5 bands.
Hunter, I'll give you one.
Because some of them might
Be small and
Oh, wait, I need a pass.
Am I allowed to walk out?
Okay, how do I turn this off? Is this slide?